Welcome back to Peerless Martial God. Enjoy. Chapter 9. Throat-slitting sword, arc. Lin Feng had noticed his mistake while stepping forwards. He had just made a small step. It scared Jing Wuhen gulped as the fear welled up in her throat. What did Lin Feng intend to do? The Hell Wolf was the second cruelest beast after the Soul Spirit beast. Even some of the most skilled cultivators who reached the 9th Chi layer would have no other choice but to run and escape from a Hell Wolf. Without taking the time to tell them what he was about to do, Lin Feng had started running towards the Hell Wolf, gaining more and more speed with each step. Seeing what was happening, Jing Wuhen was overcome with fear. The others were also terrified beyond belief. The Hell Wolf started howling in surprise when it saw Lin Feng was running directly towards him. The Hell Wolf's demon-like face looked hideous. Its eyes were gleaming with an extremely cold light. The sight would chill even experienced warriors. The Hell Wolf, whose claws were still slowly piercing in and out of Jing Feng's body, jumped in the air with a blood-curdling howl. Its body slowly turned black and a brilliant white light began glowing over its body, covering its whole black body in a white radiance. "Lin Feng, come back," shouted Jing Wuhen, but it was already too late. Lin Feng started using his moonlight feather agility and his speed sharply increased to reach the highest speed possible. Qing Yi and Han Man were so frightened that they were frozen stiff. Their hearts were beating so fast that it seemed like time had stopped for a moment. They did not have any time to realize what was happening before the fight had already started. An amazingly bright meteor-like streak suddenly appeared in the air in front of the wolf. When the light vanished, it seemed like time had stopped. Lin Feng had stopped moving, all signs of life were gone. The Hell Wolf landed triumphantly with a growl. Silence. Jing Yun's hands were covering her mouth. She looked on at the scene terrified. Lin Feng was actually dead. It was suddenly so quiet. The Hell Wolf fell down on its side with shock filling its eyes. On its neck was a mark, which looked like an extremely thin red silk thread out of which was flowing a small endless stream of blood. "The Hell Wolf died," said Han Man and Qing Yi while looking at the scene before them, gasping with astonishment. "Lin Feng, how do you feel?" asked Jing Wuhen, whose voice was febrile, while looking at Lin Feng who was still standing on his feet but no longer moving. Not even a sign of breathe could be seen. Jing Yun's voice dropped in intensity. Qing Yi and Han Man were also very nervous to see Lin Feng like that. They had seldom been that nervous. Finally, Lin Feng moved. He slowly turned around. His eyes were sparkling and he was grinning wholeheartedly. "I'm fine," said Lin Feng, spreading his arms out in a stretching motion. He remembered the instant he had attacked. Sword unsheathing, it had looked a silver firefly streaking across the sky. It was lightning fast with such unbelievable power. One of the prerequisites of the sword unsheathing skill was, of course, to be faster than the opponent. Phew! Jing Wuhen let out a sigh of relief. They could finally relax again. They had the feeling that they were back to themselves, the same as when they originally met Lin Feng in the mountains. Instead of talking, they were looking at Lin Feng as if he was a monster. "Why are you looking at me like that?" said Lin Feng, embarrassed while scratching his face. The way they were looking at him made him feel like he had forgotten to put on clothes. It was unnerving. "Metamorphosis." Han Man, whose teeth were clenched, said only that one word. Lin Feng was quite puzzled by the fact that Ying Jun and Qing Yi were solemnly nodding, showing that they felt the same as Han Man. "Lin Feng, you have a sword spirit." Qing Yi obviously knew that the light which streaked through the air a moment ago had been caused by a sword. Only a sword could have been that quick. "You're misunderstanding. I just learned a sword skill," nodded Lin Feng. Only those who had the sword spirit and a powerful sword could master sword skills. "I'm misunderstanding? How could it be that you don't have a sword spirit?" asked Qing Yi, showing obvious suspicion. "I really don't have a sword spirit," said Lin Feng, shaking his head. Qing Yi breathed in a mouthful of cold air. How could someone who didn't have a sword spirit use a sword at the speed of lightning? Lin Feng's skills were terrifying. For example, his 9 heavy waves technique, he could already master that technique at the highest possible level of achievement. "I am suspecting you are able to practice and use skills belonging to all categories. Am I right?" asked Qing Yi, forcing a timid smile while shaking his head. He hadn't asked what Lin Feng's spirit was though. After all, there were some people whose spirits were so strong and powerful that it enabled them to use skills belonging to different categories. Those kind of people would not share the true identity of their spirits. Besides, Lin Feng hadn't even used his spirit so far. Therefore, it made it difficult for Qing Yi to guess what Lin Feng's spirit was. Lin Feng was just smiling. At that moment, it indeed seemed like Lin Feng was able to learn and practice any kind of skill. Besides, it also seemed that he had a strong learning ability. "A level 9 ferocious wild beast. This time we're collecting lots of precious items," said Han Man with a smile on his face. He took out his dagger and started carving up the precious materials from the body of the beast while talking. "Lin Feng, you killed that Hell Wolf in your own. If you hadn't been here, then we'd be dead by now. These materials are yours and only yours. Jing Wuhen, Qing Yi, you have no objection to that, right?" Qing Yi and Jing Wuhen smiled and agreed. If Lin Feng hadn't been there, they would have died a cruel and horrifying death. "I don't agree. Everything we picked up from the beasts until now should be divided equally among the 4 of us," said Lin Feng, shaking his head. When the others thought he was a weak cultivator, they made him walk behind them. Even though the entire reward could be his for killing the Hell Wolf on his own, Lin Feng wasn't the kind of person who saw profit and forgot morality. They all saw Lin Feng had determination in his eyes and nodded one after the other and said, "All right. You guys seem like you've forgotten about me," said a weak voice. It was Jing Feng. Who else could it be? Jing Feng had been attacked by the Hell Wolf and his back had been shredded into pieces. The Hell Wolf had trampled him and crushed his bones. At that moment, Jing Feng was unable to get back on his feet and was looking up at Lin Feng and the others from his pitiful state on the ground. "Damn it, get lost," said Han Man extremely aggressively, cursing at Jing Feng. Not only had that bastard let them fight against the brutal ape alone, even though it was extremely dangerous, but he was also the one who had led the Hell Wolf towards them and had forced them to deal with it even though they could have died. "Let's go. He can put his life in the hands of the gods," said Jing Yun, who was furious. As the four of them were about to leave, they heard Jing Feng say in a ghastly tone, "You guys shouldn't forget that my older brother knows that we came to the Black Wind Mountain together. If I die and that you get out of here alive, what is my brother going to think?" Han Man and the others stopped walking and turned around looking at Jing Feng with hesitation. "The best solution is for you to bring me back and share the precious items with me. Otherwise, you will die." "What's going on?" asked Lin Feng. That guy was half dead yet still insane enough to arrogantly threaten them. His brother, Jing Hao, is one of the best disciples, currently 6th on the rankings. He's an extremely powerful cultivator who has reached the 9th Qi layer. He also has a sword spirit. He's extremely strong, explained Qing Yi to Lin Feng, who immediately understood. Lin Feng started walking and went towards Jing Feng with an ice-cold smile on his face. "Trash, help me get up," said Jing Feng, ordering Lin Feng. Lin Feng was stupefied and with something like a smile yet not a smile on his face said to Jing Feng, "I really admire your courage." Lin Feng's voice dropped. He unsheathed his soft sword. Lin Feng was emitting a cold blood-chilling glare. "What are you going to do?" asked Jing Feng, feeling oppressed from head to foot, feeling a chill run down his spine. "Lin Feng," shouted Qing Yi. Jing Hao was an amazing disciple, the 6th best cultivator of the sect. He was extremely strong. Even though Lin Feng was extremely strong as well, his level was still low after all. Qing Yi didn't think that Lin Feng could offend Jing Hao. Lin Feng looked at Qing Yi and the two others and asked them, "In view of his behavior, do you think that if we rescue him, he will just let us off?" The group's faces all instantly froze. Cold sweat was flowing down their back. Indeed, Jing Feng's expression was obviously revealing that if they rescued him, he was most likely planning something sinister. "We have never offended him. He thinks he is always in the right. Then, he'll make false charges against us again. That will be our end. Not only has he not mended his attitude, but he also ordered us to save him. On top of that, he also wants us to equally share all our items with him. Do you still want to save such a person?" Lin Feng patiently explained these things to them. Even though they were all precocious, they were all only 15 to 16 after all. Lin Feng, who had gone through a lot, in his previous and current life, had more experience. The three others all nodded to what Lin Feng had said. They were indeed scared that if they brought Jing Feng back, Jing Hao would seek revenge for Jing Feng. Lin Feng turned around, looked at Jing Feng and saw that he was, at last, frightened. "I swear that if you bring me back, I will not seek revenge, and also I will not ask you to share any of the gathered items," said Jing Feng while crawling pathetically on the floor. "It's too late." Lin Feng unsheathed his sword, which flashed in a dazzling gleam and cut off Jing Feng's throat. When your life is at stake, who would trust your words? If only Jing Feng had seen his errors earlier, he may have received mercy. Lin Feng was looking at Jing Feng, his eyes were open, but no life could be seen, they just stared at Lin Feng in shock. Lin Feng's heart was pounding. Of course, on such a journey, blood and corpses were hardly avoidable things, but he was still inexperienced. "If Jing Hao comes and looks for you, tell him the truth, tell him that I'm the one who killed Jing Feng," said Lin Feng, looking indifferent while smiling. Lin Feng was not scared of Jing Hao just because he had reached the 9th Qi layer. End of chapter 9. Hope you guys enjoy the chapter. Please consider subscribing and hit that bell button for future updates.